Hi, Pete Frandano here, author of the upcoming book, Endurance Real Estate. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to give you a brief preview and a few takeaways of my upcoming book. We were originally hoping for an early summer launch, but in this year of Corona, like so many things, the urgent needs of family, friends, and clients has taken precedence. So now we're targeting an early 2021 publish date. I've titled this presentation, Practicing Endurance and Endurance Real Estate During a Pandemic, because I practiced endurance and endurance real estate during the Great Recession, so I wanted to discuss some of the similarities then versus now with the hope of helping some folks with what we're going through now together. I'm packing a lot into this brief presentation, so I may sound like the old FedEx commercial guy that was speaking 1,000 words a minute because your time is valuable, and in the spirit of keeping it brief, I know you can rewind if you feel you need to, so I apologize ahead of time for its speed. I got the draft manuscript to my awesome editor and team back in mid-February. We're all the way through the editing process now and on to the final formatting phase, so I'm very excited. About mid-March, my editor came to me and she said, "Wow, Pete, you picked one heck of a time to come out with a book titled Endurance Real Estate." Well, I can promise you that when we first set out on this journey almost 2 years ago, we had no idea that we'd be going through this worldwide pandemic together today. The book started out as a chronicle for my sons, my "If Dad Got Hit by a Bus" document, and has evolved into something I'm hoping can help others. Hopefully you or someone in your world, whether you are in real estate, a small business owner, a manager in a Fortune 500 company, an endurance athlete, or whatever your background. The book is couched in my experience of running through the valley, trying to get to the next peak, in that period I call the Long War, 2006 to 2012. But it does have some of my Fortune 500 experience sprinkled in, as well as some others I had the fortune of having a front row seat to. 2020 is my 30th combined anniversary in both the Fortune 500 and the real estate arenas, so it's no coincidence that this year and my book's pending launch are key milestones that are colliding for me. Endurance through a pandemic, endurance through a Great Recession. We've certainly never been here before, but we're definitely all in it together. I wanted to start out near the beginning of this presentation with a great quote from Winston Churchill. "If you're going through hell, keep going." In the old runner's axiom, we modify it slightly to say if you're running and you look up and you realize you're in hell, put your head back down and keep going. It sure seems appropriate for what many of us are going through today. And in that spirit, and on a personal note, someone very close to me recently ran through a very major valley of his own. I won't reveal his identity because this young man's very private, but suffice it to say that we're very close. He had pneumonia that morphed into super pneumonia, something I'd never heard of. He's 21 and fit as a fiddle, strong as an ox, and the athlete I always wanted to be. He was a bit hard-headed, as many of you young folks can be. You're all supermen and superwomen, and I get that. But he had beat the pneumonia, and it came roaring back, and we almost lost him. I'm forever grateful to Dr. Richard Marston Gillespie and his awesome team of hero healthcare warriors at Rex Hospital in Raleigh. We all know what the hospitals are going through right now in this pandemic. Right now, I'm happy to say he's right on track, and I'm grateful to Dr. Gillespie and his miracle team for saving his life back in April. So why do I share that story with you? Well, to use a sports analogy, because we never know when life is going to throw us a curveball, do we? When it does, it's our job to turn that curveball into a base hit. Look at this pandemic. I have a few mantras, and one of them is this: life's experiences have taught me to never take any one person or any one day for granted. And I can assure you, given these past few months and all the people that I know that have been impacted by this pandemic, I'm doubling down on that mantra now. Coming out of the first round of PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program that I'm sure you've heard of, and maybe you're participating in the program, and if you are, I sure hope it's helping you. When it was launched, I remember hearing two numbers, 14 and 12. The Small Business Administration had processed 14 years of loans in 12 days. When I heard that number, I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. Either that night or the next day, I saw the car lines on the TV for food. And then I heard the clarion call from Feeding America, an organization that's near and dear to our heart. We give to them annually, a bit more now than normal because they do some very good work. If you don't know them, please look them up. They're amazing. So I decided right then and there I didn't want to wait until the book was launched to start helping. I wanted to help a little bit now. Several of my seasoned colleagues in the real estate industry have shared with me that they've had that here we go again feeling. Well, I'm with them and I can definitely relate. So that's the long and short of why I put this brief presentation together in the hope that it can help you or someone in your world run through a valley into your next peak. If it helps keep one person out of the abyss or puts an extra set of guardrails up for you or someone in your world, then it's been worth it. This next slide is a trailer we had a blast making. This book is a book. It's not a movie. The trailer is a brief overview in picture form of the book. The pictures are either directly or indirectly related to the book, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll be back in 90 seconds when it's over. So, why endurance real estate? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the book started out as a chronicle for my sons, my if dad got hit by a bus document, and has evolved into something that I'm hoping will be able to help others. My eldest son came to me a couple of years ago and he was talking to me about his online mentors, folks like Gary Vaynerchuk and Ty Lopez, among others. He was reading and learning online at NC State and other places, and I thought, well, gosh, I can do that for you, son. So I started out to put together my life and business experiences, what to do, what not to do. And he said, so Dad, in your book, you're going to tell people how to make money, right? I let him know that wasn't 100% of the book. I realize we live in a Facebook society at times, and not many people post their losses for others to see and benefit from. Most only show you the good stuff. Well, you and I both know that's not real. In this book, I share some of the good stuff, but I also share some of the hard stuff. This book is not all about making money, although some of that is certainly in here. Some of it is me sharing my experience falling flat on my face, picking myself up, dusting myself off, and running to the next peak to cross the next finish line. So that was the impetus behind this book, and that's the essence of what the book is all about. I definitely keep it real. Yes, I was that Fortune 500 guy that jumped out of the Fortune 500 world into the real estate industry right after 9/11. I was very fortunate to work for two great companies while in the Fortune 500 world, Sara Lee Corporation and Avery Dennison. The morning of 9/11, I was actually going from Boston to Pittsburgh to visit the vice president of Dick's Sporting Goods and logistics team. Needless to say, we never made it. We got diverted to Syracuse. I realized that we're the lucky ones. That's the beginning of what I call in the book one of my right turns, and was part of what set me on the road to spending more time with my family and in pursuing my entrepreneurial dreams. I've also been very fortunate to have some incredible mentors in my life, some folks I call my Jedi Council, my guardrails. These folks have selflessly and often not even knowing it given me a priceless gift, the gift of their time, experience, and wisdom. I call it TEW, or T-E-W. I realized a long time ago that there hasn't been one finish line I've ever crossed without the help of either someone, something, or some being, and I'll leave it at that, helping me cross that finish line, whether it was business, life, or a marathon, or whatever. Someone, somewhere along my journey helped me. Yes, of course, I had to exert my own energy and my own effort, but somebody helped me cross that finish line. So with that, I ask you this. Who are you sharing your story with? Who are you helping to cross finish lines? I encourage you to do it. Share your too. You never know who you might help. I found that in others sharing their experience and wisdom with me, there have been times that saved me from the abyss, from driving off the proverbial mountain. May have saved me some heartache or at the very least time, which as you and I both know is precious. So to me, there is no greater gift that you can give someone than two. And that's what I'm hoping to do in endurance real estate for you. The connection is real. Real estate, life, business are all endurance sports. Some folks say it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I say no, it's a marathon and a sprint. And yes, it's all about crossing finish lines. Okay, so marketing disclaimer number 1. This book does not have all the answers. I can hear my team now saying, no, don't say that. Well, it's true, but it does have some of the answers. And marketing disclaimer number 2. It's not all about real estate, but it is real estate centric. Yes, so here you can see when I jumped into the real estate industry, I'm thinking to myself, man, this is easy. It's like picking gold up off the streets. I mean, you can actually hear the roller coaster clicking up, can't you? And then this was my brilliant move. This is when we actually purchased our awesome real estate company in southeastern North Carolina. Southeastern North Carolina is what I call the land of the modern day gold rush. I had no idea what had hit me. We were swimming in the tsunami. I mean, picture this former Fortune 500 guy thinking to himself, what in the world have I done? But I'm grateful that entire region has bounced back so strongly since, and I'm hoping it continues to do so even through this pandemic. I'm definitely grateful for my move. In the book, I talk about the fact that we are where we're supposed to be. Well, I know I was definitely where I was supposed to be. I realize I'm very fortunate for the relationships I've formed and the experiences I've had in our awesome industry, and I'm grateful for every single one of them. I love the 2 companies I worked for in the Fortune 500 arena, but I was never home. I was bouncing all over the globe, missing my 2 sons grow up. So moving into the real estate arena allowed me to coach their teams and just be there for them and to pursue my entrepreneurial dreams. If you were in the business from 2006 to 2012, then you probably get why I call it the long war. I mean, this looks awfully familiar to what we were going through today, doesn't it? And then, yes, this is me in the arena, sweating bullets like so many of us, wondering how I was going to pay our bills. And then this is me coming out of the Banks Channel on the beach to Battleship Triathlon. I call it the Valley. We were running through. It was a cold, 30-degree driving rainy day, very symbolic of what we were going through at the time. But at the end of the day, I get that we're all endurance athletes, and ultimately it's up to us to run from peak to peak and cross those finish lines. In anticipation of your questions, so Pete, can't wait to read your book when it comes out, but I'm pressed for time right now, so what are the 3 things you want me to take away from your book? Well, that's a great question, and here they are. Invest in You, Inc. You are your own corporation, and if you don't think you are, let's chat. Whether you're a manager in a Fortune 500 company, a small, medium, or large business owner, or whatever it is you do, you are your own INC, and you need to invest in you. You're the CEO of You, Inc. Some like to say, think like a CEO. I say, no, you are the CEO. You're the captain of your ship. It's up to you to keep things simple, focused, cut through the noise, and identify those gaps that can lead to opportunities and press forward. When do you go on offense? An example of that would be expanding or investing in this current market because you see an opportunity you can capitalize on. How about when you go on defense? An example there would be preserving your cash or arranging financing to sustain you to get to the other side of this wave. And then gratitude and attitude. I touch on this in the book and where I got it from, but for now, just suffice it to say, I approach each day with gratitude and attitude, and I try to make the most of each day. So that's what I mean at the top of the slide where I say same and same. Same then during the last cycle and same now. Yes, of course, we've never been here before, and if you have someone that says they've been here, please have them call me. I want to speak with them. Then and now are different, but there are some similarities in what we can do to attack it. Those things, the basics, don't change. Keep moving forward, advancing your ball every day, hopefully taking a few others with you over the finish line. Oh, and just to prove that I didn't come up with this idea of endurance real estate or us all being endurance athletes overnight, this was when my colleagues were kind enough to award me with the Realtor of the Year. But even before that, in 2011, when I stood up to be installed at the helm of our awesome Brunswick County Association of Realtors, I told everyone in the room that day that if you were there and standing, you had made it. The light at the end of the tunnel was no longer a train. I let them know that they were all endurance athletes, every single one of us, and we had just been through the endurance test of a lifetime. I meant it then, have ever since, and I mean it now. This is what I refer to as the endurance life chart. It's actually quite simple, and you can see the three things at the top of the page. They're actually buckets or categories. They're not silos because they flow in and out of one another. Silos, as you and I both know, typically are self-contained and isolated. And that channel down at the bottom, well, that's our endurance channel or our safe zone. That's where you are no matter what's going on up above. Business cycles, storms, choppy water, pandemic, it doesn't matter. You're still focusing on these three things and the stuff that you put in those buckets. Basic business tenets or philosophies. In the next slide, I'll show you how I populated mine. And I encourage you to take the blank page or email me and I can send it to you, and do the same for yours. I actually have this in my office as a constant reminder. It's okay if you have some of the same stuff because some of the basic business tenets will probably apply to your business as well, but I still encourage you to make it yours. The approach may sound touchy-feely, but you and I both know that the way we think, the way we set our goals will determine our direction. The ship's rudder will always guide the ship. These will guide you and move you forward. So in those buckets go some of the things that keep you going no matter the chatter, no matter the weather above, to get to your finish lines. And we always cycle, don't we? And there always seems to be another finish line to cross. So as promised, here's the endurance life chart with some stuff that I've populated in each one of the buckets. Let's highlight one from each bucket. Invest in You Inc. So, return on investment. Let's go with that one for now. Many of us in this business are numbers folks. I also like to call it return on effort. Betting on yourself, to me, gives you the best return of any investment or expenditure of your time. In my experience, it's the closest thing to a sure thing bet any of us can get. My dad used to say, son, an education is something that once you have, no one can ever take away from you. And it's the same with the designation, whether it's your CCIM designation or your GRI designation or your certified financial planning designation or whatever. By earning that designation, you've just put distance between yourself and the pack by investing in you. CEO of You Inc. You are the CEO of You Inc. You decide the direction, the industry where you want to spend your time, how you spend your time, who you partner with, among many other personal executive decisions you make around You Inc. I think you would agree that there are a ton of choices and a ton of information flying at you almost every day, every minute. Well, because of that, here we highlight Keep It Simple and Focused. We also highlight Circle of Control. That's where you need to advance your ball. And then finally, Gratitude and Attitude. We take others with us along our journey, cross our finish lines, and then we get on out the door. So there you go. You have the three things. I mean, heck, you don't even need to buy the book now. I'm kidding, of course. I hope you do. I mean, the chapter title, Where the Rubber Meets the Road, is what I call the return on investment chapter. For you folks who are numbers people like me, this is the ROI chapter. And in my humble opinion, worth the price of admission alone. So that was the endurance life chart, and that's great. But how do we use it? So a quick example. Our current situation will definitely cause us to rethink the way we work, the way we learn, the way we entertain, and the way we socialize. As the CEO of You Inc., it's time to take some action. So let's again focus on one thing in each of our buckets given our current situation, and let's start with Invest in You Inc. The CEO understands that balance is absolutely critical in everything we do. Stephen Covey, in his awesome book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, calls it sharpening the saw. Those physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional things that we do that bind us all together, we realize that we have to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of others, right? So keep balance. And CEO of You Inc. And here's a word that I love, disruption. Some use it as a fear tactic and they say, watch out, disruption is coming. Well, I gently but firmly point out that no. Disruption is in most industries and it's not one thing. It's not coming, it's been coming, it's here right now on our doorstep, and it will keep coming. See Moore's Law, which is basically a measure of the exponential growth of computing power, which is way beyond the scope of this presentation, as an example. Well, the CEO spots disruption, granted this time may be more disruptive than ever, and immediately recognizes that there may be gaps that could lead to opportunity. That's where supply and demand don't match. I call them opportunities for the vigilant. Is this illegal? No, of course not. If you focus on your circle of control, and then gratitude and attitude, you look to help others on your journey, then you take them with you and cross the finish line. So in summary, disruption. In any industry, it's not new and it's not coming. It's not one thing, it's three things. It's been coming, it's here, and it's going to keep coming, and that's okay. Gaps. Opportunities for the vigilant. Is it happening to me or is it happening for me? And then focusing on our circle of control, helping others across the finish line. This is where you have to trust your instincts and keep moving forward. I call it running through the gauntlet no matter the chatter, right? I mean, you have to keep moving forward. And then finally, balance. I have to always invest in You Inc. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional side. I mean, back then, just like today, I had family and others depending on me, as I know you do. It's the same today as it was then. We have to get up every day, move forward, and advance my ball. You need to advance your ball and then help others advance theirs also, always moving towards a new finish line. It seems to be so much negative news that I wanted to give you 3 real and positive examples of real folks that are capitalizing on the opportunities that this current market's putting in front of them. A mobile fitness entrepreneur is expanding. He recognizes that there's a gap that may lead to opportunities, and he's asking the question, is this happening to me or for me? A prominent restaurant owner who owns multiple locations heard about a smaller restaurant owner in what we call the no-DOS submarket who's behind in payments to his uncooperative landlord. So this larger restaurant owner stepped in, made up the payments, partnered with this smaller restaurant, and now has a foothold in this awesome submarket. He's betting on Charlotte. My youngest son, he taught himself the basics of coding in an hour for free online. He wants to be the disruptor and not the disrupted. Now what about You Inc.? Well, here's a cold hard fact. In our Everyone Gets a Trophy society, and I love it because I've coached youth sports and it's been a blessing to me. And I love happy, shiny, smiling faces as much, if not more than anyone. But we learned this from the Long War. In what we are going through now, just like then, there will be winners and there will be losers. Why not win and take others with you? People don't post their losses. In my book, and I tell you the truth, remember where this book is couched. It originally started out as a chronicle for my sons. From your experiences in life, I bet you would agree that the hard stuff sometimes is where we learn, where we grow, and where our sword is sharpened, and where we are strengthened. What good would it do my sons or anyone else if I just shared the victories? Life can be hard. Sometimes we get knocked on our backside, and we have to bounce back, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving to higher ground to cross that next finish line. Sometimes there aren't enough lifeboats to go around, so why not win and be a lifeboat for others? I said it during the Long War, I've been saying it, and I say it again now. It truly is about saving lives and livelihoods. I was fortunate during the Long War. My silver lining, and I look for them all the time, was the fact that I knew I had time to make up for what I lost when that light switch was flipped. I knew I had runway left to achieve liftoff again. But in some cases, others that I knew got wiped out in the fourth quarter of their lives, and I'm sure you probably know a few as well. So yes, this book is about saving lives and livelihoods, and I said it when I embarked on this journey over 18 months ago, that it's also about crossing finish lines. Yes, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the help I've received along my journey and for the relationships I've formed and the experiences I've been given. I'm grateful to my colleagues for believing in me to put me in some of the roles I've served in our industry. We give back, right? Yes, I'm grateful, and I'm only one call away or one email away. Thank you for your time today. I hope this presentation and then my book when it comes out helps you or someone in your world cross those finish lines, whatever they may be.